Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome on in. This is the Overtime Drive. It is week number 5. It's officially here Thursday, September the 25th, which means Thursday nights, our Pick'em show. We are locking in all of our picks for an electric weekend of SEC football. As always, I am Chris Phillips. He is Cole the Bear Thompson. And again, we welcome you all and appreciate each and every single one of you being here. Guys, as always, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. We're less than 30 subs away from 25,000. Let's hit it tonight. Why not? We certainly can get there. And again, we can't do it without your love and support. We appreciate you guys greatly for that. Also, make sure you check out our friends over at FanDuel because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. Get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today. Week 5 Pick'em. You know how we get down on Thursdays. It is Thursday, September the 25th. Week 5 is upon us. We are locking in our picks for all of the games this weekend here on the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered SEC football show, and the best SEC football show on the internet. As always, I'm Chris Phillips. Joining me once again, my co-host, colleague, partner in crime, one of the best in the business, Cole the Bear Thompson. Bear, what's going on, man? Appreciate you being here. Really excited to lock in some picks for a jam-packed weekend in the SEC, my friend.
You have no life this weekend. None of you have a life this weekend. I don't care what your plans are. I don't care what you've already assembled, what people have told you that we're going to get down. No, your job is to sit on that couch starting tomorrow morning with the Ryder Cup full in action and continue it all the way until Sunday night when you watch as the Dallas Cowboys take on the Green Bay Packers and Micah Parsons returns home. We are only blessed once in a lifetime with a slate built like we have from tonight until Sunday night, and you take advantage of it every opportunity you get. You have a college football game that you're excited to see, you throw on the quad box. You have a separate game that you want, make sure that you pay that extra bill to have it on your iPhone. If you got to go ahead and do other plans, you cancel them before they ever start. Because, ladies and gentlemen, with how many top 25 matchups, with how many games are going to alter the college football playoff scenario, and how many must-see moments are going to be on display, you cannot afford to miss any time because we only get this once in a generation, and it comes on Saturday. It actually starts tomorrow afternoon, in my opinion.
Kudos to you, ball knower Cole, for throwing in the Ryder Cup mention. I appreciate you doing that. Our friends over at FanDuel, by the way, they got odds on the Ryder Cup. Go hammer the USA, baby. It's all about the red, white, and blue this weekend, all right? Let's go get after it. That European.
Listen, those folks across the pond do not know what's coming to them with the swings because they also don't know what it's like to be spending a Saturday afternoon in the SEC because we got some games that we got to talk about.
That European team is stacked, I'll admit, but it's an electric weekend. I mean, it's just jam-packed, everything you could ask for. By the way, Bear, I've actually got a buddy of mine, if you can believe this, going to a wedding this weekend.
He's a horrible individual.
I feel so bad for him. I DM'd him. He posted on his Instagram story. I was like, dude, no shot. He's like, yeah.
Can we also just make this clear? If you are forced to attend a wedding, and again, I say forced with the nicest of terms, be understanding if you were the bride and the groom that everybody is locked in on their phones paying attention to what's going on, not only out in the Ryder Cup, but also what's going on the college football playoff standpoint. Because you planned this. You could have looked at the schedule and said, man, we got A&M versus Auburn. We got Ole Miss versus LSU. The Mag Bowl is going to deliver. We got the night game, Alabama, Georgia. And we're going to do this to these people. Shame on you. The only person left to blame is you because you also got to throw in the whiteout game with Oregon. You got to throw in what's going to be the battle out on the Pacific Northwest with Washington, Ohio State. You got to throw in a Friday night, even at the rehearsal dinner, TCU versus Arizona State, baby. We got college football bleeding out the eyeballs, and you want to be selfish and make this weekend all about you. So just be content knowing that people are going to be locked in on their little screens, and they're going to be very much not caring about your big day. But hell, I mean, congratulations on the nuptials, I guess.
I could go off on a whole full tangent about it, Bear. I think at times weddings are just a test to see how much you can inconvenience the people that you love the most and see if they'll still have that unconditional love for you after the fact. Again, I won't, but sometimes I feel like that is what people try to do. So, yeah, like you said, don't be mad when your buddies are out there in the crowd, got the game pulled up on their screens, as they should because, again, this is a jam-packed weekend of SEC football. We're going to go ahead and dive into it without further ado. Our picks for week number 5. How about these standings, Bear? Yours truly coming off a perfect weekend, 48-5. That's pretty darn good. I know we're playing them straight up. That's pretty darn good, though. Bear, you come in at 44-9. What do you have to say for yourself?
Don't pick Auburn to lose against Baylor on the road. Don't pick Arkansas to beat Memphis on the road. Don't do that. You feel pretty confident about yourself. Because I'm sitting at 47-6. I'm like one game behind you. I'll gladly take that. I'm fine. Because this is the week you're going down. Because for the first time in a while, we have a lot of different picks to where one of us is going to be right and one of us is going to be wrong. And Chris Phillips, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You're going to be wrong on a lot of things.
We do have a lot of differing picks. This is what happens, obviously, when you get into conference play and into the depths of conference play. I don't know if separation Saturday is the right word, but we're going to start to learn a lot more about some of these teams. Starting off, let's get into it, Bear, with the game in Fayetteville. The Arkansas Razorbacks looking to bounce back. Arkansas taking on Notre Dame. Hogs coming off. That was probably my best call of the weekend last weekend, taking Memphis. I caught a lot of flack for that pick, but Memphis comes out with the win. Hogs crumble at the end, as we've talked about. This is a big one against Notre Dame. Arkansas in this game, the spread has dropped significantly as I scramble to pull it up over here on FanDuel. The spread has dropped significantly in this ballgame. I believe it opened up around 6.5. It has tumbled all the way down to 4.5 in this matchup. Yes, 4.5. The over-under sits at 64.5. Arkansas is only plus 164 on the money line. Bear, you're going with Notre Dame. I'm going with the Hogs a week after fading them and picking Memphis. Thoughts on this matchup? Again, you and I differing in a lot of our picks. It starts with our very first one. I'm going Woo Pig. You're going touchdown Jesus.
Sutton Smith was able to find ways to get multiple yards after contact in the second half out in the Liberty Bowl, and he's a solid running back for a good Memphis team. I think a lot of people got to remember they're in the hunt for the G5 representation in the college football playoff, and they could get there. But for me personally, I still look at Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Those are two of the best running backs in college football. And if you're having struggles meeting a guy like Sutton Smith at the line of scrimmage and he's pile driving past you and getting into space, who's to say that they can't do that with Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love from the get-go? Again, you jumped up to a 28-10 lead and should have been able to coast in the second half, and it just felt like you took your foot off the gas. Ryan Silverfield's team kept pedal to the metal. They got a critical stop on the opening drive. They held you to 3 points in the second half, and they catapulted themselves into the right conversation to where they felt like they were the better team. And maybe they were the better team. Notre Dame might be sitting at 1-2, and their defense certainly is dreadful. They've given up at least 27 points in every single matchup, which is why I think this could be a very high-scoring game. But in my opinion, if you are the Irish and you're able to get out to a very early and comfortable lead, something like, let's say, 27-13, and then you come out in the second half and you take those methodic drives and you slow things down and you play tempo and you start trusting that the combination of what you got in your backfield is going to make things challenging for Arkansas's defense. You're going to put a lot more pressure on Taylor Green to have to step up his tempo. He's going to have to deliver strike after strike and not make many mental mistakes. And that's something that I think is going to be very much a detriment towards his game, because we saw last week when he was under pressure or when he felt like he had to make that gotta-have throw, he nearly threw an interception and then later did throw an interception inside the red zone, which was horrific to even picture. I like CJ Carr. I like this rushing attack for Notre Dame. And I just don't think right now Arkansas has proven to me after what they did last week, the times are changing. They will get an upset win at some point this year. I have no doubt about it, because it's the Sam Pittman special. It's just not happening against touchdown Jesus. I'm taking the Irish as one of my best bets, and I took them at 5.5 at the line. So I think the Irish win this game by a touchdown.
Something in my gut tells me the Hogs bounce back in a big way after back-to-back losses. It's now or never for Sam Pittman and the boys. Is this that upset special like you were talking about? We'll see. A week after picking Memphis to beat them, I'm picking them to beat Notre Dame. Welcome to the college football season. You just never know.
Yep.
Bear, let's go to Nashville. Vandy and Utah State. The red-hot Commodores, the 18th ranked Vanderbilt Commodores, looking to move to 5-0. God bless the world we live in, where Vandy more than likely will be 5-0 after this Saturday. Vandy is a 22.5-point favorite. The over-under set at 58.5, as you can imagine. Both Bear and I going with Vandy. Heck, one of my best bets is Vandy covering the 22.5. Bear, I think Vandy's a wagon till we see otherwise. But whether they cover or not, we both believe Doors will get this win. Will be 5-0, and Bear potentially ranked inside of the top 15 when they travel to Tuscaloosa. Maybe ranked ahead of Alabama.
I was about to say,
depending on what happens.
Depending on what happens.
Unbelievable times that we live in right now.
Here's going to be the even crazier part. Alabama will still be the favorite in the matchup.
Oh, no doubt.
That's what's even crazier about it. What's interesting is that Utah State with Bronco Mendenhall has really turned the corner this year. He's done a good job. The one loss they have is against A&M, and yet still they were able to put 22 points up on the board. Bryson Barnes has looked like the good quarterback. The defense has done a good job eliminating Air Force and McNeese State. They do allow a lot of explosive plays. They're 78 currently in scoring defense. And I have a bone to pick right now when it comes to the media landscape surrounding Vanderbilt. Let's not put the wagon before the horse on Alabama and what they plan on doing a week from now when you still have to get mentally prepared to take on Georgia out in Athens. And let's not say that Vanderbilt's not a good team. Vanderbilt may not be a college football playoff team just yet, but they currently are 8th nationally in scoring offense. They have outgained opponents 191-51, and they've scored 75 points on the road against Power 4 teams and ended a streak that had been going on for 16 years. This is not your mom and pop's Vanderbilt team. This is not me, ma, and papa's Vanderbilt team. This is the Generation Z version of Vanderbilt, headlined by a psycho killer named Diego Pavia and an unrelenting Lex Luthor type machine known as Clark Lee. They're going to put belt to ass against Utah State, and they're going to be sitting at 5-0. And you know what? They've earned the right to be sitting at 5-0, which is a thing that we have got to start continuously saying. It's not the fact that they're winning games. It's the fact that they're dismantling opponents in the process of winning games.
This is TikTok culture, Vandy, okay?
Listen.
All right. Hey, this is SEC unfiltered home base in Nashville era Vandy. All right. Let's make it understood.
This is lot 2 gaining respect, Vandy.
Lot 2 running college football, Vandy.
This is First Bank Stadium renovation, Vandy. We got a lot of. We can just go in a lot of different ways. Vandy.
By the way, shout out Jim Dunaway. Vandy is a good team. By the way,
Vandy is a very good team.
Cut the nonsense, Jim. Come on,
Jim.
You're better than that.
You are better than that, Jim. I know you're better than that.
You're better than that. Come on, Bear. Let's go to the game in Oxford, Mississippi, where the headline that we're going to discuss. It's not necessarily Whit Weeks and Landry Kiffin and what they're doing in their personal lives. It's this game on Saturday afternoon. The Magnolia Bowl will take center stage, certainly one of the games of the weekend. 13th ranked Ole Miss hosting 4th ranked LSU. Bear, this spread actually come down a little bit. Ole Miss was a 2.5-point favorite at one point, now sits at 1.5, but the Rebels are favored at home. Over-under sits at 54.5. Lane Kiffin's been telling anybody who will listen all week long on social media to take the over. I'm taking the under. Sorry, Coach. I'm fading you. Bear, I'm going with LSU in this game to get the big road win. You are going with Ole Miss, which history says is a good pick. The home team has won this matchup the last 5 years. So we'll see if that trend continues and you get this right, or if I call the road winner for the first time in over half a decade coming out with the win. But I'm going by you, Bengals. You're going Rebels. Big storyline in this game, because you and I have talked a ton, obviously, and everybody else has too, about Trinidad Chambliss. He's lit the world on fire. Arkansas and Tulane. He's just shredded those defenses through the air, on the ground. But the latest availability reports show Austin Simmons is not listed. Which would indicate he's good to go. But Bear, you and I both agree, right? Like you have to roll Trinidad Chambliss out there. You can't disrupt what's been happening. But interesting to know that, if LSU's defense is able to make Trinidad Chambliss look mortal, maybe we see Austin Simmons come in relief and see a 2-quarterback deal going on for the Rebels. What's
great about what Ole Miss has right now, we talk so much about when you don't have one specific quarterback, you don't have a quarterback in motion. That's not the case out in Oxford. They have 2 quarterbacks that I think you can trust. And at this point, I've already said Lane Kiffin gets the benefit of the doubt with whoever he wants to throw out there as his starting quarterback. Because if it always seems to work. It worked with Matt Corral. It worked with Jackson Dart. It probably would have worked with Spencer Sanders, the Oklahoma State transfer, or Walker Howard. It would have, because of it's just the fact that there's so much leniency and so much of a track record that that position is in good hands like Allstate whenever Kiffin gets to work with it. That's always been the bottom line. And so you are right. There's an opportunity to where Trinidad Chambliss, who is going to be able to run the football, there are going to be design runs for him. Last 2 games, 14 and 15 rush attempts, and at least a dozen of them were design runs. If they take away the rushing attack for him and they make him have to stay in the pocket and he's starting to throw under duress and he's not able to connect with the receivers downfield, you got to like what you have in Austin Simmons in the deep ball. I mean, he'll throw some turnovers, but he will at least be able to connect with Deuce Alexander and Harrison Wallace. What's going to be interesting, though, is that we've already talked about this before. Clemson and Florida were supposed to be 2 great offenses going into this year, and they were shut down. They looked dreadful. Now, were they dreadful because they just were dreadful, or is that because of LSU has one of the best and most revamped units in the sport that has given them that extra boost to get into that conversation of where you are as a legit threat to win the national title? My big thing is that right now, I'm just not trusting LSU to run the football. And in a game like this, where you have the 118th ranked defense on the opposing side going to give you opportunities to get into the open field, and you don't feel confident, I get the Caden Durham's trending upward toward playing. I get that you have Johnson. I get that you have a couple of other guys behind him. I know I didn't mention Johnson in the preview video. Again, it was Southeastern Louisiana. Let's wait a minute before we see him against real competition and then dub him as a great running back. Regardless, if you can't trust that this is going to be a great ground game, you're going to be asking Garrett Nussmeier to do a ton. And he can, but on the flip side, you can ask a lot of both, I think, Trinidad Chambliss and Austin Simmons, and they'll go toe-to-toe with you. And if that's going to be the case, and you get 1 or 2 key stops defensively, might be enough to go ahead and pull the trigger. I like that to happen out in the Vaught this weekend for Ole Miss. They're going to be a top 10 team come Sunday morning.
So you're taking the Rebels. LSU can't move it offensively. Ole Miss outscores them, outlasts them. I'm going LSU. I think that defense does just enough, makes Chambliss look human. But you are right. If you can't run it if you're LSU this weekend, I mean, listen, I don't want Brian Kelly getting all up in his feels in the postgame when somebody asked him why they couldn't run the football. If you can't run the football again this weekend against a front 7 that has shown you can have success on the ground, you got to answer the bell when the questions come because they're going to be there. So
if you can't run the football this weekend against this Ole Miss defense, you can't run the football this year. I mean, at this point, this is where we are.
Yeah, it's the same story.
And that, unfortunately, will be the story of what maybe kept LSU out of the college football playoff, or better yet, once again, having a team that can win a national title because of one element and another thing holding them back for an umpteenth time underneath Brian Kelly.
Yeah, again, you're going Rebels. I'm going LSU to find a way on the road to get the dub. Bear, let's go to the game in College Station. Texas A&M hosting the Auburn Tigers. It's 9th-ranked A&M as a 6.5-point favorite. The over-under in this game is 52.5. You and I both going A&M to win this game at home. I think the only thing we disagree with is the spread. I think A&M covers. You got Auburn covering the 6.5. But again, we're both taking the Aggies to get the job done. It's a big spot for both teams, right? For Auburn coming off that tough loss at Oklahoma. Maybe they feel like they got robbed in that game. Hopefully, pray to God, the officials don't play as much a part in this one as they did last week. But, both these teams with college football playoff aspirations, Texas A&M obviously looking to avoid stubbing their toe in a game they feel like they should win. It's a big one. But, again, we're both going with the Aggies to protect the home field and get the dub.
There's a big loss for Auburn going into this game. Horatio Fields suffers a broken foot. He's now going to be getting surgery out indefinitely. You're going to need to see Perry Thompson, Malcolm Simmons step on up as quality number 3 options behind Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman. What are going to be 2 elements that I think make this game is, number 1, if Auburn can trust its rushing attack and maybe have like the biggest lopsided line, 56 carries versus 17 pass attempts. If you're able to run the football so efficiently to where you're winning on 3rd down or you're evading 3rd down and you're just moving the chains on 2nd and 6, That's going to be a really good tempo pressure to where you're already making a team that loves to move the football up speed, go even faster, and go to basically turbo mode, which is going to put Marcel Reed in a position to where he throws a beautiful deep ball, but he also throws a very interceptable ball. Your secondary getting healthier with Jay Crawford coming on back potentially could be massive in that. And the second thing is a fast start. The thing that I worry about, once again, playing back-to-back road games for a guy like Jackson Arnold, is you're going to ask him to do so much with his arm when you know what is his limitations at this point. We got a 3.5 game, 4 game sample size of what Jackson Arnold is as a passer. He is going to miss the deep balls from time to time. He's going to have to work the intermediate part of the field. You got to jump out to a 14-3 lead. You probably got to force a turnover on Marcel Reed. If you do those things, you actually have a shot of getting an upset. But if we're sitting at like 24-17, 24-20, and you're saying Jackson Arnold's got to be the dude that delivers, we got to start now playing from behind, touchdown or less, touchdown or more differential. It just feels like A&M, home field, 12th man, 230 kick. All those things just benefit you a lot more than they benefit Auburn.
Bear, if you want to know how confident the Auburn folks are, obviously I do a weekly segment with our friend Mike Gittins over at the War Report talking power rankings and the slate, obviously. Bear, his prediction for this game, he's got Auburn winning 33-17. So, again, I don't know, and I don't think of Mike as like a homer necessarily, given a homer pick, so I don't want to say that, but it's a lot of confidence. Can you imagine the conversation we're having on Sunday night if Auburn walks into Kyle Field and takes it to A&M?
I'll tell you what conversation we're having. Same Texas A&M as always.
Yeah.
Get a massive win, fall short. That's what it will be.
The letdown, right?
Here's the letdown.
That's the fear.
LSU has dropped in Kyle Field. Welcome back, Texas 8-4 conversation.
This feels like the insecurity bowl. I think both of these teams and these fan bases have their own insecurities over their programs. And again, a lot to prove on Saturday. It's going to make for a really, really interesting, compelling game. Heck, any other weekend, this might be the game of the weekend. Just goes to show how loaded this slate really is. Bear, let's go to the game in Starkville, Mississippi. Speaking of big opportunities, 4-0 Mississippi State puts that perfect record on the line, trying to kick the door down, their first SEC matchup, break into the top 25. If they're going to do it, they got to take down Josh Heupel, Joey Aguilar, and the Tennessee Vols. Tennessee, Bear, is a 7.5-point road favorite in this game. The over-under set at 63.5. You and I both going Tennessee. I'm mad at us for neither one of us having the stones to go Mississippi State here.
You could have. You went them in the preseason.
I know. I did go with them in the preseason. But, what I was about to say is, I think the reason both of us feel so confident with Tennessee, the way this offense has looked. I mean, they have just been clicking on all cylinders. Like, you can kind of try to poke some holes in some of the lesser competition they play, but you watch what they did against Georgia. That speaks for itself. The way they were able to dice up a Kirby Smart defense. Joey Aguilar's been fantastic. I will say, because Joey is a guy, if you go back and watch the Georgia game, essentially Tennessee won every 50-50 ball or most of them down the field. That's not always going to happen. If Mississippi State's able to swing some of those the other way, a couple of those passes to Brazzell that turned into touchdowns, maybe you get 2 or 3 picks off of Joey Aguilar, and that's kind of feeding into your recipe for an upset. The cowbells will be ringing. They've been hyping up this game all week. They're rocking the crispy white helmets with the interlocking MSU. But you and I both agree, Bear. State, you're not quite there yet. I think Tennessee outlasts them. We're both going with the Vols in this matchup.
Something that we didn't mention in the preview that I think was very disrespectful when it came to Mississippi State. As much as we know how great Tennessee's offense has looked, Mississippi State has got a good offense. And we saw a blueprint on how to beat Tennessee's defense from Georgia when they traveled to Neyland. We did. Again, you take your deep shots, you build that repertoire and win your one-on-one battles whenever it's man coverage, and you run the football efficiently and force Tennessee to make you throw. Like, if you do that, if you're Mississippi State, you got to feel pretty good about where you are. Blake Shapen, again, still getting disrespected in the SEC. We see lists come out every single week, top 10 quarterbacks, and he's not on it. And he's done a good job mastering the ins and outs in the early stages of what is a Jeff Lebby offense. The receiving corps has done a good job of winning their one-on-one battles. They get the explosive plays. And it does feel like we're entering step 3 of a 4-step plan for Jeff Lebby's offense to finally be built. And that may end up finally showing on up to where this is a 4-quarter battle. But I mentioned this in the preview. Arizona State ran for 200 plus yards against this Mississippi State front. They didn't throw the football almost at all in the second half. Even if Joey Aguilar has his struggles in this game, and let's say he throws two interceptions and there's a couple turnovers, you have a ground game with Deshaun Bishop, Peyton Lewis, and Star Thomas that can do the exact same thing, if not better, than what Arizona State did. And I think that's what this really comes down to. As much as I do think that Fluff Bothwell and Davin Booth are a great running back duo, you have an exceptional trio that can all find ways to win in space and be able to basically exhaust this Mississippi State front seven. And that's why I got Mississippi State losing. That's why I got Tennessee winning and covering. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But I do think this will be a close game going into halftime and probably the start of the third quarter. So, State, we don't take moral victories around here. We never do. It's the SEC. You get a lot closer. And if you do this against another team, one that is showing up a little bit sluggish, you will get that win. And you'll be sitting at 5-1. And that's a good thing.
This isn't a best bet for me, Bear, but if you forced my hand, I'd probably take State to cover. I think it's a close game as well. I think it's interesting that, again, I think Tennessee earlier in the week when the line first dropped was around a 9.5-point favorite, and that the money has come in on the Dogs. So, yeah, it's a huge opportunity for Jeff Lebby and company. I just think Tennessee's going to have one more punch. But Vols are 1-3 in their last 4 road games. And Josh Heupel, every year he's been at Tennessee, has had that signature road loss. 2022, it was South Carolina. 2023, it was Mizzou. And last year, it was Arkansas. Are the stars aligned yet again? And my goodness, again, like we just talked about Vandy earlier, what a world we could be living in. That Vandy and Mississippi State would be 5-0. What an incredible world.
And a team that we're going to be talking about very soon, sitting at 5-0, who would also be ahead of Alabama for their matchup on October 11th.
Indeed. What wild times, no doubt, wild times. This is why we love it, the unpredictability. So, again, we're both going with the Vols in this matchup to win in Starkville. Bear, let's move to the game in Athens. The game of the weekend. The SEC Unfiltered Tour embarks upon the capital city. It's Georgia and Alabama. Not a whole lot more needs to be said, Bear. Georgia in this game is a 3.5-point favorite still. And that's essentially been, or excuse me, that line has dropped. That line has dropped. Let me correct myself. So it opened at 3.5. It's been 3.5 essentially all off season long, heading into the week of the game. Bear, the line is now Georgia minus 2.5. You see, this is why you double check. So money coming in on the Crimson Tide. I'm not surprised at 3.5 that people were taking Bama. Now I wonder if the money swings the other way. Over under sitting at 52.5. Bear, I'm going Georgia to snap the streak, to get this monkey off their back. You say history will not change itself, and Alabama's still got that mental edge, whatever it is, on the Dogs. I'm going Georgia. You're going Alabama. I got to be honest with you, Bear. As we speak right now, I might take Georgia minus 2.5. I like the number if I get it less than a field goal. At 3.5, I didn't like it. 2.5, I might actually place a bet on the Dogs. Let me throw out a key stat for you, because when we talked about this game, obviously we did a full preview prediction on it. When we talked about this game, we talked about all kinds of numbers, right? Kirby Smart's 1-6 against Bama. Georgia hasn't beaten Bama in the regular season since 2007. Haven't beaten Athens since 2003. Kalen DeBoer off a bye week. Kalen DeBoer against top 10 teams. There's one number we didn't talk about.
Yep.
And if you're looking for optimism from the Georgia side, if you need it, Kirby Smart against Alabama in Athens. He's 0-0. He's 0-0. That's all I'm saying. He's 0-0.
There's
another between the hedges. He finally is getting them between the hedges. The last time they played each other between the hedges, Kirby Smart was on Bama's staff. That's how long it's been. Between the hedges, I think Georgia finally breaks this streak. I think it's going to be a thriller, back-and-forth ball game. I think it's a more offensive game. Both quarterbacks play well. I got Georgia in a really, really close one. Again, you've got Alabama, a game that could go either way. One thing's for certain, this is going to be an absolute thriller on Saturday night.
There's another stat that we did not give out just yet. Alabama is 2-5 on the road with Kalen DeBoer. They look drastically different than when they do at home. And
can I also throw out another stat really quickly before you go?
By all means.
That we did not throw on the preview that I told you I was insane for not doing so? Bear, Georgia ain't lost a home game since 2019.
33 home games.
It came to the hands of the South Carolina Gamecocks and Will Muschamp, who's now on their staff, ironically enough. But it's been a long time since Dog fans left Sanford with the taste of an L in their mouths. So there's all kinds of numbers we can use to make points and throw in. But, man, this one's going to be an all-out war as every Georgia-Bama game is.
The thing that's really important here that I look at is as much as we want to give credit, and we should, to Georgia having the home atmosphere, the fact that they do have a great arsenal offensively. They were able to show you what Gunnar Stockton was made of, especially on the road in Neyland. Georgia doesn't have the elite pass rush still as what they had in years past. Entering this game, Georgia's currently 115th in the nation in sacks before. They also rank outside of the top 80 in tackles for loss. Now, again, it's Glenn Schumann, it's Kirby Smart. Doubt them against your will, by all means, if you choose to. It's your funeral. But that number alone does give you a little bit of, I would say, exhale if you're Alabama. The Florida State defensive line was an unknown going into the season. They've looked like one of the best in college football this year. Georgia right now has had pressure winning its one-on-one battles in the trenches. So if you're able to give Ty Simpson time to throw, number one, he's got the weaponry that's as good as Tennessee to connect downfield and make those explosive plays hit consistently. Number two, he's a surgeon. I mean, he is so quick, decisive, and more specifically, pinpoint accurate on where he wants to go. He's 41 of 46 in his last two games, 8 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. Completion percentage over 79%. He's number 2 in the SEC in completion percentage this year, and the only reason why he's not number 1 is because Bo Pabula has been elite against quality competition as well, and he had that lull of the third quarter against Florida State. Outside of that, he has been everything that you want a quarterback to work in Ryan Grubb's system. This secondary right now is going to have to step on up. If it's Georgia, they're going to have to eliminate Ryan Williams, which, again, better, easier said than done, especially in this matchup. And you also got to be wary of Jeremy Bernard. I think a lot of people remember that last season, it was Ryan Williams and a bunch of guys who had to kind of figure out their role. This year, it's 2. I could say the same thing on the opposing side with Colby Young and Zachariah Branch for Georgia, but Jeremy Bernard has been arguably the best wide receiver that is not being talked about in a prominent light. And he's wide receiver 1, in my opinion. So if those things happen, you can eliminate the pass rush. You can take away the rushing element in the interior of what Georgia's defensive line can do. And you give Ty Simpson time to throw. It still is Bama versus Kirby. And I know it's the first time that it's happened, but at this point, you have home field advantage. You have a night game. You have an offense that fits your system better than what you had last year with Carson Beck. And we overhyped that a lot. I do think that Gunnar Stockton is the right type of quarterback to fit for a guy in Kirby Smart. You have all these things benefiting you, and you still lose? Brother, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We all take an L, and we all have our kryptonite. Yours is that team in the crimson and white that resides in Tuscaloosa you used to coach at. Just the bottom line. You got your one shot. Never live it down. You beat the GOAT. But that's the only time that you're ever beaten Alabama.
You're not crazy, no matter what side you're on this for picking. You know, it's not a crazy pick if you go Bama or if you go Georgia. I will say this, though, Bear. I mean, again, I've given some of the context here with I think them at home is a big deal. I think a night game at Sanford, I think what I saw from Gunnar Stockton in Knoxville really, really impressed me. You know, that batch of receivers, it's so vastly improved from a season ago. I don't think they fall to last year was it 28-0 or whatever the score was at half. They got into this huge hole, and I will be surprised if the game goes the way it did last year. I got to be honest with you, though, man, and maybe I'm wrong for this because these are the games he showed up in. I just still don't trust Kalen DeBoer and Bama after week 1. I don't care what you did against ULM. I don't care what you did against Wisconsin. I have not forgotten what happened against Florida State. I just can't. So this is the game for Bama. You know, talking to other Bama folks, there's a lot more pressure on Alabama in this game than there is Georgia. You lose this game, you fall to 2-2. That chatter about Kalen DeBoer, the buyout, all that chatter you heard in week 1, after week 1, it's all coming back. It's all coming back, especially if this thing isn't close, which I don't see a world where it's not, but you get where I'm coming from here. It's a big deal for different reasons. You know, Georgia's fan base, I think they don't want a game more than this one. This one's been circled since they put it on the schedule, right? But I have trust issues with Alabama. I do. So prove me wrong. I'll tip my cap, but streaks are made to be broken. I think the Dogs would do it Saturday night. I have not forgotten week 1, Bear. I can't forget week 1.
Chris, you are 100% right. Streaks are made to be broken. And a 33-game win streak at home for the Georgia Bulldogs is going to be broken on Saturday night.
Somebody's streak's getting broken.
Something is breaking this weekend. I don't know. A lot of hearts will be for sure broken on Saturday.
Listen, all I know is this. I'm so excited to be there to vlog this entire weekend. All I ask every weekend I go on these tours, Bear, let me see a thriller. I feel pretty confident I'll see that. And the tension in the air on both sides, let's be honest, on both sides, as confident and cocky and trash talk as much as there might be, Bear, you know both these fan bases are going to enter that stadium or turn their televisions on and be puckered up the entire game till it hits zeros because there's a lot on the line for both. But again, I'm going Georgia. You're going Bama. One thing's for certain. This one's going to be a lot of fun. So, Bear, let's go to the game in Columbia, Missouri. We go from Georgia, Alabama to Mizzou and UMass. It is a big deal, though, in Como. It is homecoming, which – again, I learned last weekend they get ready for this thing like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand. Homecoming is a very, very big deal in Columbia, Missouri, so it'll be a fun weekend. Mizzou riding high, Bear. They're 44.5-point favorites in this football game. The over-under is set at 56.5. Shocker. You and I are both going with MIZ to get the W. And again, we were talking about, Bear, undefeated teams in the SEC. Mizzou, after this weekend, barring one of the biggest upsets in college football history, will be 5-0 and ranked inside the top 20. So good times continue to roll. Ahmad Hardy, the sleeper when it comes to the Heisman conversation, probably should be getting more love. I would imagine you and I both think he has a big game, and Missouri has no problem of disposing of UMass on a fun homecoming night in Columbia.
Here's how big of a game Ahmad Hardy has. I went over to FanDuel.com/SECU today, and I threw money down on him to win the Heisman Trophy at plus 5,000 odds. That's 24th in the country right now. Those odds are not going to be there after this weekend because if he will have a 300-yard game for the Mizzou Tigers. And I've made it my best bet, and I will go so far to say the over-under being set at 56.5, not only does that hit, Mizzou hits it by itself at 56 points. That's how big of a game I think this is going to be. Go look out in Como. Going into the bye week, you want to make sure that you let everything out. Figure out, throw the kitchen sink, but leave a little bit of crumb left behind for Alabama to get prepared for when they come to Memorial Stadium in 2 weeks. Still, leave no doubt that you're one of the top 15 teams in college football. Because still somehow, some way, whether it be Ahmad Hardy not being in the Heisman Trophy conversation, whether it be you sitting outside the top 15, Mizzou being disrespected, lo and behold, how about you go ahead and take your frustrations out on the Minutemen who are paying for an ass whooping on homecoming night.
And Bear, if I recall correctly, you took the over in this ballgame. I believe you said they're going to score it by themselves, which I don't doubt it.
Nope.
56.5. 56.5. Bear says they dropped 60 and the over cashes with ease. I might have to tail that with you. By the way, if you see SEC Unfiltered, if you see us campaigning for Ahmad Hardy to win the Heisman, like next level, just know that I also tailed that Heisman bet, and we all of a sudden have become the Ahmad Hardy show.
We were the Diego Pavia fan club last year. Ahmad Hardy has become.
And we still get a lot of love for Diego, but this is about cashing a bet. If I also jump in on it, Bear, every show we might lead off with, hey, like, subscribe, This is this. Ahmad Hardy for Heisman. Make sure you're going out there tweeting hashtag Ahmad Hardy for Heisman.
Listen,
That might be us.
I'll make it abundantly clear. Ahmad Hardy, if he is not your top 5 for Heisman voting going into the month of October, and I hate using this phrase because I think it's an overused, oversaturated, and kind of just dumb comment. But sincerely, ladies and gentlemen, you don't know ball. You do not know ball if you do not have Ahmad Hardy in your top 5. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. That's on you, not on me, because this is what you look for in a Heisman Trophy candidate.
You'll have to carry the title as a non-ball knower. That's on you, not on the Bear. So it is what it is. Bear, let's go to our final game. And you talk about a game flying under the radar, has the potential for just drunk, weird, silly, has that potential. South Carolina looking to bounce back after they had negative rushing yards against that very Mizzou defense. They're hosting the Kentucky Wildcats at Williams-Brice Stadium, 7:45 p.m. Eastern time kick. So the locals there are going to have all day long as they want to fuel up, to lube up, if you will. This South Carolina-Kentucky series, Bear, has become really fun between the Beamer-Stoops thing and a lot of these games really competitive. Kentucky, by the way, fun fact, has actually won 6 of the last 10 meetings. They've got the upper hand over the Gamecocks for the last decade. Bear, interestingly enough, so South Carolina earlier in the week, 6.5-point favorite. It is set at 6.5. I took South Carolina at -6.5. Bear, that spread has dropped. South Carolina is just a 5.5-point favorite. So there are believers in Big Blue Nation out there, the over-under sitting at 46.5. Bear, you and I are both going South Carolina here to bounce back after losing back-to-back SEC games. Bear, this is as must-win as it gets for South Carolina. I mean, I've talked to you a lot. I've talked to others. There's things that Gamecocks fan base can and cannot tolerate. I think for the most part, they're pretty self-aware, right? They're not asking any coach to come in and go to the SEC title game or go to the playoff every year. They're pretty self-aware about what the program is, what it's always historically been. But there's things they can't tolerate. Losing to Vandy's one of them. Losing to Kentucky's the other. You lose to both in the same season, and you make it 3 straight SEC losses. I'm not saying Shane Beamer's getting fired, but boy, he ain't immune to a hot seat either. So Kentucky trying to pull the upset. We're both going South Carolina, but I'm not going to lie to you, Bear. I'm kind of nervous about this one.
I understand the nerves. I completely understand the nerves because of the way South Carolina's offense has looked this season. It's been dreadful. And it comes down to self-inflicting wounds also. I mean, like that's the main thing is that you constantly find yourself shooting yourself in the foot. That can't be sustainable. Here's where I'm going to bring you back down to reality. I saw a ton of people talk to me from Kentucky's side saying, how dare he disrespect our team? Fine. That's very fair. I disrespect Kentucky. I probably do it a little bit too much. I disrespect the team that currently is 105th in sacks, is 112th in tackles for losses, is 70th in points allowed per game at 23, 115th in total yards per game at 415, 125th in passing yards allowed per game at 278, a team that also ranks 75th in rushing yards allowed per game and 77th in third down conversion rate. I disrespect you a lot.
Does coming off the bye week help Kentucky at all?
Yeah, a little. And maybe Cutter Boley now getting another game underneath his belt where he feels confident around the show. Yeah. I disrespect you a lot, Kentucky. The numbers back up what I'm saying, though. In every category, the thing that has always given me hope that Kentucky can be a team that we trust to get itself into the conversation of at least an 8-win season is a solid defense. And what do you not have right now after games against Toledo, Eastern Michigan, and Ole Miss? A solid defense. That's what this comes down to. As much as I think that there are issues with South Carolina's offensive personnel, your defensive faults, allowing explosive plays, not being able to win at the point of attack, getting bullied off the line of scrimmage, has hindered your success. I think that when you have a quarterback like Lenore Sellers, even when he's not perfect, he can be just enough to get the job done in a game when you got to have it. And I don't know if you have that in Cutter Boley. So sorry if it comes off as disrespectful or crude or crass that I don't give enough love to the Wildcats, but the Wildcats don't have an offense right now that intimidates me, and they have a defense that's giving up far too many yards after contact and are missing tackles. They're bottom 10 in the league in tackles missed this year. So spare me when it says I disrespect you. The numbers back it up. You're going to lose this football game because of the way that your defense plays. And you got to see a little bit more explosiveness from the passing attack from South Carolina. I think that shows on up. Once again, we're going to see a duplicate performance of what we witnessed last season out in Kroger Field when the Wildcats fell 31-6 in South Carolina.
So, Bear, do you think this is a close game, or you think South Carolina pulls away?
I think South Carolina wins anywhere. I think it's at 36-16 or something like that. I think it's a double-digit win. Absolutely.
Okay. It's going to be interesting, no doubt. I will say this, and this is not meant as disrespect to Kentucky, even though it may sound like it, because, hey, Mark Stoops has had success against Shane Beamer. You know, maybe Kentucky fans are saying you shouldn't be surprised if we come in and pull this upset and win this game. And sure, but Bear, there's no way to spin it. This would be a horrendous loss for South Carolina. I mean, horrendous after the preseason expectations, all the hype, and you go to 0-3 in conference play with the hardest part of your schedule around the corner. Yeah, this would be a tough pill to swallow. So we both got the Gamecocks, though, pulling off the victory, and those are our picks for week number 5. Going to be a fun weekend, Bear. Really exciting stuff. We will have reactions on Saturday, by the way, to a number of these games.
Yeah,
Certainly
we'll do, I'll make that clear right now. We're doing Notre Dame, Arkansas for the early game of the day. We're doing Ole Miss, LSU for the midday game of the day. And then, of course, you already know where we're going with the last game of the night. So
Bear
I don't even go into detail.
He can't help himself but react to what silly things the Hogs do this weekend.
I'm sorry. I have to. Because either way, I'm either going to look really stupid for a second straight week, which will make me happy and money. And also, I'm going to either be right. And then I get to watch this as Hog fans text on in and ask me, who do you hire as the next head coach? And then we have to have a serious conversation, Hog Nation. What is the course of action when you bring in your next coach? Because to be completely transparent, stop with the Rhett Lashlee crap. Stop with even the John Summerall stuff. You ain't getting those two. Let's have a legit chatter about who could be coming to Fayetteville in 2025. 6. Oh, and by the way, it's not going to be Bobby Petrino either.
Hey, John Summerall, Rhett Lashlee, you would be lucky to be the coach of Woo Pig.
You would be lucky to be the coach at Woo Pig. You're going to be luckier at where you get opportunities because if you're going to get an extension down in Dallas and Summerall's going to get something else a little bit bigger.
Fair enough. Bear, in closing, anything else we need to discuss? Touch. You got any parting words? I know we got a jam-packed weekend. You've got the happy hour Friday on Instagram Live. Maybe I'll crash that again. Who knows? We've got the game reaction Saturday. We've got Sunday Fun Day, obviously. Anything else?
If you have plans this weekend, you are dead to me. Do not even try to sell it to me on what's going on. My child has his 3rd birthday party. That's great. They'll turn 3 next year, in my opinion. It's a leap year. We'll pretend like it didn't happen. That's what we do. Because I'm sorry, this is one of those few weekends where if you truly believe that you belong in the world of sports and sports means as much to you, you don't make plans. You call it as is, and you make sure that your keister is either plopped down at a tailgate, enjoying a nice cold beer, or it's plopped down on your couch doing the exact same thing. Because college football waits for nobody, and a weekend like this only comes once in a lifetime.
And that's it from the Bear. Drop the damn mic, Bear. I love it. Let's have ourselves a damn weekend. Week number 5 of SEC play. A jam-packed slate. Cannot wait for it. All across college football, by the way. And by the way, go USA. Beat the Europeans' ass this weekend.
Yes.
At Bethpage Black. Guys, again, we appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Like I mentioned, content is bleeding out of the eyeballs all weekend long. We will be embarking also to Athens, Georgia. So make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Any Dogs fans tuned in, if you got any suggestions, where we should go, where we should eat, what bars we should hit, monuments around campus, tailgates, you name it, let us know. We'll be bouncing around all weekend long. And like I mentioned, also all the other content throughout the weekend, recapping, reacting to all the games. Going to be a really fun time. As always, guys, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Maybe by the time you guys are watching this, because if you haven't figured it out yet, we are not live at the current moment. Maybe by the time y'all are watching this, maybe we have hit 25,000. So in advance, thank you. But if we haven't, and whether we have or haven't, hit that like and subscribe button. Again, we're continuing to grow, continue to ascend. We can't do it without your love and support. Wherever we're at via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, I should say, make sure you check us out there. Follow along on all the socials. Have those notifications on so you never miss what we're doing. Our website, secunfiltered.com, as well to check us out. We really appreciate you all. And again, check out our friends over at FanDuel, because as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Guys, FanDuel's got you ready for the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, bet $5. And if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel's got you covered. The NFL season's here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Once again, this is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered SEC Football Show, the best SEC football show on the internet. For Cole the Bear Thompson, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We're signing off. Have a great weekend. Enjoy week number 5. And let's do it. Let's get after it. Y'all take care. Appreciate you. Peace.